Hello. So this video will be about how to create a CraftBukkit and a Spigot server, and it's all the same for both servers. The only difference is the sort of jar file of the server itself, but the settings and the start commands are just the same. So let's start with CraftBukkit here, and got the CraftBukkit server jar and the start file. And if I edit this in Notepad++, and I will actually put this in the start command in video description, and you need to save this as a bat file or BAT file just by just select save as and then just name it .bat. So the difference between this and the let's edit this. The difference between the Spigot and CraftBukkit is just the this has to match the name of the server file. So that's the only difference. So let's start CraftBukkit here. And it will close itself because you actually need to accept the EULA, and you just double click this and go to line 3 here, remove false and place true over here, save the file and close it. And then you start the server again. And yeah, there's a lot of fail here because the files are actually missing, so it will have created all of this. This won't show up in the next time you start the server. It's just the first time you sort of create the server itself. So don't worry about these errors. And when it says done here, you can just type stop and enter, and it will stop the server. And it will close. And you got a bunch of files here, and you do the exact same thing with the Spigot. As you can see here, it has the same sort of start command. The only difference is the name. It has to match this name over here. And the procedure is just the same. So it will actually automatically close, and you need to open the EULA and replace this with true, save the file, and then restart the server. And it will start to create a lot of files and folders. And you should get some errors here as well, I think. The difference between CraftBukkit and Spigot is that the Spigot server is more of an optimized version of CraftBukkit to reduce lag and stuff like that. So I usually use Spigot, and you can use the same plugins for both the servers. But I noticed that most plugins actually work slightly better on the CraftBukkit server. So when it says done here, you just press stop and stop the server. Like that. And you get a bunch of folders here. These 3 are the world files, and it will be in separate folders. You see the nether and the end are separate folders. So if you want to sort of have a new nether world, you just delete this folder if you want to. What you do next is that you go, it's called server.properties. I don't think I can actually show you here. View it's called server.properties. And if usually you can't really open this unless you have sort of specified a software to open it with. I use Notepad++. So I'll just double click this, and you got a bunch of settings here. You have open permissions. I changed that to 2, and allow another to name the world, a level name. That's sort of this folder. You can change it to whatever you want. You can change it to la-di-da, and it will create a new set of worlds. You can actually delete these ones. Neighbor quarry, that can be false. Allow flight. If you want to be able to fly around the world, you have to change this to true. Announce player achievements. That's when you open your inventory for the first time. You get a message. Well, you got a new achievement. Server port, default one is 25565. I usually change that to something else. Let's say 85. Level type, default. If you want to have a flat world, you type just flat. If you want an amplified world, you just type amplified, and it has to be in capital letters. But just for this server, it's going to be just a default world. And if you want to have a specific seed, you can type that here as well. You can type da over here as well, if you want to. Or you can type a number as well if you want to. Force game mode, I just have that as false. Experience I spawn NPCs, that is like villagers and villages. Whitelist, if you want to have the server whitelisted, which is what I use, you need to set this to true. So people need to be on the whitelist to be able to access the server. Spawn animals, kind of self-explanatory. Hardcore mode, I set that to false. Online mode, that's true. If you're going to run like a bungee cord, you need to set this to false. If you want the people on the server to use a specific resource pack, if you set this to a link to it, it will, when you enter the server, it will say, do you want to download this texture pack and use it? You don't have to, but you get the question at least. PvP, if you want to be able to, the players to be able to kill each other, I set this to false because the griefers on the server wants to kill you. Difficulty, this is a number. 0 is easy, 1 is hard, 1 is normal, 2 is hard. I think it is. No, it's above normal. I think 3 is hard, actually, but I set it to just 1, which is normal. Enable command blocks. If you want to have like a mini game on the server or whatever, and you want to be able to use command blocks on the world, you need to set this to true. Also, the game mode, 0 is the survival mode, 1 is creative mode, 2 is adventure mode, and 3 is what's it called again, spectator mode. So if you want this just a survival world, you set this to 0. Max players on the server 20, and this depends on how much RAM you actually dedicate for the server. I think 20 people, that should be around. Yeah, there should be enough with like 2 gigabytes. I suggest about 3. Spawn monsters. True or false? Generate structures. Yeah, this is actually for villagers. Spawn NPCs up here. That's just the villagers. And this is for the villages. View distance. You know, you have a setting in Minecraft called I think it's called view distance as well. How many chunks to be viewed? Default in Minecraft is 12, but on the server it's actually 10. And the longer distance you have, the more the server has to sort of work. The load on the server is higher if you change this to higher settings. So I suggest just leave it at 10. Message of the day. I just changed this to like what you want to name the server. Just la-di-da server. And that will show up if you add the server, you know, you have the server name, and underneath the server name it shows just this information. And then you just save it. And just start the world. And since I changed the world name, you will see it will start to create a new world again. And it will actually translate. You may remember the seed had a name, so it will translate that name to a number instead. So that's the seed number. And region level 0, that's the normal world. Level 1 is the nether, and level 2 is the end. So there you go. And of course, if you want to add a person to the whitelist, you just type whitelist space add and then the player name and enter. And if you want that person to be OP or operator, just OP and then the player name, like that. So now you got a server running, which is kind of nice. And let's say that you want a server icon, you can actually do that. By actually having a file like this, and it needs to be a PNG file, and you just place it inside here in the main folder, and you need to name it to server-icon.png. So when you connect to the server, you get sort of a picture just to the left of the name of the server. So yeah, that's sort of the fast way to do things. And if you want to have a longer description of everything, I can do that as well, but this is sort of the fast version of creating a CraftBukkit and a Spigot server. So yeah, see you later.